If you think about moving to New York City, one of the first decisions you'll have to make is condo or co-op. And in this video, I'm breaking down everything you need to know in plain English. Let's go. My name is Chris Jordan. I'm a luxury real estate agent here in New York City. And this is actually my first episode of mastering the New York City buying process. We're going to start this video off with condos, short for condominiums. And the way I like to explain condos to people that are not familiar with it, just think about a house inside an apartment building. So when it comes to the ownership structure of a condo, it's just like a house. You get a deed, you have free will to sell, rent at your discretion with light board review, but that's something we'll talk about in the future chapters of this video. So a condo gives you great flexibility. Now, when it comes to a co-op, short for cooperative, it's totally different. The way I like to look at a co-op and the way I like to explain a co-op, think about a co-op as a business, right? So a cooperative buys a business, aka a building. In this example, a building, and they separate the building into shares. Now, every share is not one for one. So they don't separate, all right, there's one apartment, one share, two apartment, two. That's not how it's separated. When it comes to how many shares you get for each unit, that's something the sponsor decides. And it's all different things they decide by. It could be floor, view. Basically, the best units get the most shares. But, the more you pay, more likely the more shares you'll have. Right? So, gotta understand that, right? The cooperative buys a business, aka a building, and they separate it into shares. Now, when you want to buy a co-op, you buy a share in the building. So you own a share in a business. Think about owning a share in a business as a co-op. You own a share in the building. Now, when it comes to co-ops, they're very, very strict. And this is something we're going to go into in the later chapters, that everything revolves around getting board approval. When it comes to co-ops, that's all we're going to talk about, board approval. Board approval. Board approval. Now, with the condo, we spoke about you get a deed. When you buy a share in a co-op, you get something we call propriety lease. All right? Let's move on to down payment and financing. Starting with the condo, just like a house. All right, somebody's landing a helicopter, so I will be back. All right, back to down payment and financing. Now, condos are seen like traditional real estate, so you're going to get your traditional 10 to 20% down. Now, when it comes to co-ops, it all depends. Remember, I said co-ops are like a business, so they make their own rules when it comes to financing and things of that nature. But generally, co-ops require 25 to 30% down. I also heard in an instance, not my personal experience, but I've heard a building even asking as much as 50%. And in addition to that, they are going to require 1 to 2 years of liquidity. So what that means, and I'm going to use easy numbers because I'm a calculator guy. Let's say your mortgage is $8,000 and you got $2,000 in monthlies. So that's $10,000. So 1 year of liquidity of $10,000 is $120, and if they ask for 2 years, that's $240. Let's talk about costs and monthly fees. Now, condos are going to be more expensive per square foot, but have cheaper monthly fees. And we call condo monthly fees common charges. So that's just the upkeep of the building, doorman, amenities, things of that nature. Those are called common charges, right? But you take care of the property tax because you own it outright, right? So condos, more expensive per square foot, lower monthly charges, also known as common charges. Now let's move on to co-ops. Co-ops are cheaper per square foot, but their monthlies tend to be higher, and there's a reason for that. So remember I said condos monthlies are called common charges. Co-op monthlies are called maintenance fees. And what the maintenance fees take care of, all the things common charges take care of, plus the building's mortgage, in the taxes. So you don't pay property taxes on a co-op because you only own a share in a building. So that gets taken care of in the maintenance fees. Let's move on to board approval and rules. With condos, it's much easier, much more flexible. Now, remember I said you do have a light board review. What they call this in condos a first right of refusal. Me personally, I've never seen it happen. Because I've never seen it exercised, I actually asked the sponsor, why did they have it in their bylaws? And the example he gave me, just to show you how extreme it could be, an example he gave me is basically, it's in their bylaws just so they could keep the integrity and the value of the business where they need it. So the example I got was, let's say you have an owner on the 37th floor, right? And you value their unit at, let's say 3.5 million. But let's say they have an extreme any financial decision and they want to sell it below value. So sometimes what the first right of refusal is, the sponsor would rather write a check and match that low offer than allow that low offer to go public, because once it goes public, those numbers will be used for comps. If they do sell it below value and it gets out, that's the comp for the building. It lowers the value. But if the sponsor writes a check for that unit, it don't become public. It's almost like a between me and you thing. Okay? Now, co-op board. I'm sure if you're on this video, you've heard, I don't know, maybe positive and negative things about co-op boards. And if we're being honest, it's probably more negative than positive. But that's why I chose to change my perspective on co-ops and look at them like businesses. I think when you change your perspective on things, the view change. Because I know a lot of agents and I know a lot of people, a lot of buyers have a resentment towards co-ops because of this board. So let's talk about it. When you have an accepted offer for a co-op, it then goes to the board. And the board want to know more about you than you may know about yourself. And you have to open up your financial, like everything in your books, the board wants to see. Ooh, you have to get public. You have to get personal references, business references, anything you can imagine about yourself, the board want to know. And not only that, if you have, like, let's say you have a child and you want to buy them a co-op and you're paying for it, now your finances is privy to the board. They want to know everything about your finances as well. And one thing about co-ops, I always try to put a positive spin on it. One thing about co-ops is very community based. Just like if you own a business and it's not public, you want to control who's a part of your business. And that's the big thing about co-ops. They just want to have control who's a part of the community. And honestly, you can't be mad about that. Now, they're not supposed to decline applicants. They're not supposed to discriminate towards applicants, but they also don't give you a reason why they decline your application. I think that's when it become a little bit murky in terms of you can go through this long process, and they do have a rule where they got to get back to you after 45 days, right? So you can have this long process, and the 38th day they could say just not a great fit. And that's sufficient. That's all they have to tell you. So my advice is always, there's nothing wrong with co-ops, but don't fall in love with a co-op. And that's always hard to tell buyers because a home is just so emotionally based. But the board review can be tough. And then you have an in-person interview. It could feel like an interrogation. But again, that's what comes with being part of that community. Said a lot, but let's summarize it. The co-op board review consists of a full disclosure of your financial situation with personal and business references and an interview. So it's not a short process. It's a long process. It could be mentally taxing, but now In the great city of New York City, people are always interested in flexibility and resale. Condos are pretty cut and dry. You have the flexibility to sell and rent it at your discretion. And I think that's why investors and international buyers love condos, because you can also put in LLCs, different things like that. Now, co-ops, I think we got a clear understanding here. Co-ops is a business and they want to control their business. So they do have price restrictions. Sometimes they have flip taxes. And also, even if you rent it, guess what? Your renter have to pass that board review. And also sometimes they have minimum years you can stay in it. So sometimes you have to live in it 1, 2, 3 years before you can even consider renting it. And these are all the things you have to gather before you decide on a co-op. So co-op is big on doing your due diligence. Huge. Now, let's talk how this affect your taxes. Because I don't know about y'all, but me and Uncle Sam, he's just as good he's an uncle, he's there. I pay him when I need to pay him, but we don't tip him. Now, with a condo, just like a regular home, you deduct real estate taxes and mortgage interest. Dry, cut, simple. With a co-op, you can deduct a portion of that maintenance fee that we spoke about earlier. I am not a CPA. I rely on my CPA, and I would advise you to do the same, but I'm certain you can deduct a portion of that maintenance fee. Now, let's wrap it up and talk about who they're for. Starting with condos. Condos are for, in my opinion, first-time home buyers, foreign buyers, people who are into luxury and new development real estate. Not too many new development are co-ops. And condo, as we spoke about, I think you understand now, condo just gives you the flexibility. Now, co-ops, and I really hope throughout this video, I won't know until I edit it, I hope I didn't have a negative tone towards co-ops. I'm just really trying to be fair and trying to be honest. So co-ops are for, in my opinion, I think when it comes to co-ops, look at it as a business. One, really, really do your homework, because they're going to really, really do their homework on you. Okay, so really do your homework and make sure it's a community in a building you want to invest in. I think if you're looking for something for long term and you want a community based and you want to control the community you live around, I think co-op is an awesome choice. However, you also have to have strong financials, right? We went over, you're going to have to open up your books. You might have to open up your books more than, they're going to know more about your books than you may know. So your book got to be wide open and you got to tear pages out. All right. So strong financials, long-term residents, and somebody that wants to control the community they live in. Also, co-ops do have lower prices. That's always, I think any agent can tell you, whenever somebody first start looking, they're going to send you a lot of co-ops because the initial per square footage, like we spoke about, is going to be lower. So that's why that's why I could just send them this video now where I educate them. Yeah, the per square foot is lower, but this is what comes with it. And you have to allow them to make the decision. And that's why I made this video, so you guys can make the best decision possible. And I hope I did a good job. I hope I was fair. I hope I really gave you the best of both worlds. But if I didn't and you do need information, just shoot me an email. I'll definitely get back to you and answer all your questions to the best of my ability. So we're going to end this with, my name is Chris Jordan. I'm a luxury real estate agent here in New York City. And this is my episode on condos versus co-ops. I also have a buyer's guide where I run you through all the steps, all the hidden costs. It will be in my bio, and I will also put it in the comments. So download that. I think you'll find it very helpful if you're looking to buy in New York City, even if you're not looking now, even in the future. Always plan. Planning is the key to a successful real estate transaction. So this is episode 1 of Mastering the Buying Process. I have some neighborhood guides, and I have some apartment tours. I think that's it for now. I can't add nothing else. I'm gonna try to get these videos out for you guys, and if this is something you enjoy, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode.